everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my fourth update for my Pan Those Eyeshadow Palettes project. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I will have the playlist linked below, so you can go back and get caught up. But essentially what this project is it's a hybrid between Pan Those Eyeshadows and Pan That palette. So I'm working on 3 palettes this year to try and use 2 of them up and then just hit pan in every shade in another one. I have really been enjoying this project. I feel like I've seen some really good progress in all these palettes and I'm really excited to share this update with you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. We'll go through each palette. I'll show you my update and then we will discuss what shades will be moving in. And then after that, I will give you my goals for this next month. I will go ahead and put up what my quintet looked like last month. So my first palette is my Lorac Pro Matte palette, and here is what the palette was looking like last month. And here's what it's looking like this month. You can see some major progress in here, which is so crazy to me. So the shade in my quintet right now is this shade here. So we will go ahead and start with that, even though it's a little less obvious of progress, I feel. And just as a reminder, if you didn't know, I tally everything, but I only have a special like extra tally box for the quintet shades. So those ones I know from month to month, but the other shades within the palette that I don't have as part of my quintet, I only know the overall total of uses. So this last month I used it 28 times for a total of 55 uses in this project. So this shade got rolled in last month. I believe I've used it either every single day or almost every single day since I rolled it in. And basically the primary way I've been using it is just in my brows. I feel like that way I'm making slow but steady progress. Last month I used it on the eyes as well. This month I didn't, just because it didn't really fit in with the shades that I was trying to work on. But I did make some pretty decent progress. I cleared out this little corner over here and I started working right up in this little area up here. So I feel like I made some decent progress for the fact that I used it primarily on my brows. I'm happy with that. This is a more crumbly formula right now. I think it's just because it's so old at this point, which I mean, it's not that crazy old, but my guess is that it probably was sitting in a warehouse for a little while before I got it, because there's some noticeable differences in this palette now than when I first had it. Yeah, this one does crumble a lot, and so does the black shade. And yeah, I see a lot of movement with just a little use of product. So I'm reasonably happy with that. I feel like, you know, at least I made some good progress, some visible progress on it. I did use it every single day that I did my makeup. So yeah, I don't feel like there's anything I can complain about with that. Now let's discuss the really noticeable difference in this palette, and that is that Latte is empty now. So yes, I did empty it. I did use the entire shade this last month. I didn't lose any product technically. I used it completely, and I used it in the crease. So this is why I say that I'm pretty positive this has like fully expired and the formula is changing. I used Latte a total of 13 times before I finished it up. And that's just such a small amount. I had a reasonable amount of product left in Latte, and I did not think, I thought 30 to 50 uses minimum on that shade, but it was so crumbly and powdery. If I just dipped my brush in it, it would like fly everywhere. So that's kind of why I'm thinking this formula has changed, because I don't remember it being like that at all when I first was using this palette. So yeah, I'm thinking that due to the fact that these shades are crumbling a lot and that one basically evaporated on me as I was using it, I'm gonna say that this is definitely expired. So I'm just working to use it up because I would like to not have a, you know, a kind of dusty formula left in my collection. But yeah, so 13 uses on Latte. I got that one used up. I didn't touch Corduroy or Burgundy at all. I was focusing on some other shades, so I didn't touch them. I have used Corduroy since the start of this project, and I've only used that 8 times. But yeah, I'm a little bit thinking that maybe if these shades are all that crumbly, maybe that one will be pretty crumbly too, and so I could make really fast progress on it once I do start working on it. But we're not there yet, but we hopefully will be soon. And then the only other shade I used in this palette was Jet Black. I feel like I made some reasonable progress on that. I have used it a total of 66 times since starting this project. I'm just working my way over. I feel like that's a good way to kind of use this guy up. I feel like this is gonna take me a solid 6 months or so to use up. I again, it is really crumbly, so it just kind of falls away as I try to use it, but it's not gonna go that fast because I never use that much of it. So that's all right. I did use it on the lid today, as you can see, but I can't do this super regularly. I do really like the look on myself, but I feel like it's a little bit too over the top for work. So, and I don't want to do it exclusively like on the weekends where I only ever wear this on the weekends. That would be kind of, I don't know, that would get old to me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how fast I'll be able to work through it. I might do a similar look to this later just to get some more dramatic usage out of it over time, but I feel like I can only do this look like maybe once or twice a month without it feeling like overdone or anything like that. But I am happy to have another way to use it other than just as like a liner. So that's pretty much it for this palette. I'm halfway. I'm halfway through it, which is crazy exciting to me. I'm very happy to be making that much progress. So we'll talk about our goals for this palette at the end of the video. All right, so the next palette is my Lorac Pro 2 palette, and I will go ahead and put up a picture of what it was looking like last month. And here's what it's looking like this month. Some more good progress, nothing too crazy here. So the shades that are in my quintet are Cool Gray and Charcoal. You can see some pretty good progress on both of them. Neither of them had crazy progress though, which is okay with me. I know there's only so much you can do in a month, and when you have shades that don't necessarily all work together all the time, you can't make that happen. So it's okay. I kind of chose to focus in more on my soft glam palette this last month, so I didn't see as much progress on this palette. However, I did make some excellent progress, I feel. So I was using Cool Gray in conjunction with Chocolate in my brows, still doing that. I did that last month. I've been doing it this month. I've been liking it the whole time. It works really well for me. So I like to do that. And I made some decent progress with it. I also ended up being able to use it on the lid a few times, in the crease a couple of times, and I had a look that I did yesterday. I'll have a picture at the end of the video of it, where it was like just like an all matte gray look, and I used this in the crease, and I really liked that. So I have a feeling I'll be doing that more this next month because I was really happy with how that turned out. So I feel like with that, I'll be able to make some better progress next month. I did use Cool Gray 28 times as well as Chocolate, and this has been in since I think February. So it has been in for a much longer, which I have a total of 80 uses on the shade now. I made some reasonable progress on it because it was just in my brows. I wasn't making like huge dents, but I will say these outer edges of the product they're like basically completely full because I only had pan like right in the center. That was kind of where I was using it before. So it didn't have much usage on the top. So I kind of expected it to move faster than it is. And then I realized that, and now I'm like, okay, no, I'm starting to see some good movement. So this one, I've been working this way. I have like pretty much flattened that down. It's getting a really good divot in there. I think that I can easily clear that out in the next few weeks. I liked to have more progress on this, but again, I was focusing more on my ABH palette, and that didn't fit the color scheme of this. So I didn't make as much progress as I was kind of hoping, but that's okay. Again, I like that I'm using it regularly in the brows, and I have seen a good amount of progress on it. The other shade in my quintet is Charcoal, and this one I didn't hardly use, I feel. But again, I was focusing on Soft Glam, and I'm okay with the fact that I didn't focus on this one as much. You can see a really good amount of pan now. It too is kind of like cool gray, where the top is pretty full. So it's gonna take me a while to work through it. I think that's gonna be the case kind of with all of these shades here. These ones are all pretty worn down, but these shades, I guess just because of the way I go into the center, it doesn't really hit around. So they're all pretty full, which will take me a while to get through. But yeah, I used Charcoal 9 times, which it was just rolled in last month. So it is a total of 9 times on that shade, which if you look at the picture from last month, I feel like that's actually rather decent progress wise, because last time it was just like basically like navy, where it's just like a tiny pinprick of a pan. So I expanded that pretty well in only 9 uses. I don't know how quickly it'll go. Again, I'm kind of expecting it's going to take a while, but with that gray look that I did, I was using this all over the lid, and I really liked that. I thought it looked really good, and it's a really convenient way to get some good use on this shade. So hopefully I will be able to continue doing that over the next few months. I think it'll be in for 2 or 3 more months, honestly. I don't know that I'm going to get this one finished up too quickly. It just depends on how dusty the formula is, I would think. As far as the rest of the palette goes, I'm pretty proud of myself because I did expand my usage through the palette a little more than I have in the past. So this last month, we'll kind of just start this way and go across. I did use Rosé a decent amount of times. I now have a total of 43 uses on Rosé, and I cleared out this corner over here, and this side is getting pretty low as well. I was using this along with Mulberry from Soft Glam, and I would just like pack it onto the lid. I would foil it with some setting spray, and it looked so cool. I really, really liked that look. So I'm happy with that kind of a look, and I feel like I can very easily continue to use this that way, especially once I use the burgundy shade from my Pro Matte palette. That'll be a good way to get use on both of those shades. So I might take a little bit of a break with this one because I don't necessarily need to be focusing on this shade yet, but I am very happy with the progress that I made on Rosé. I didn't use Mocha this last month, but I did use Chrome, and I do think you can see that I expanded the pan pretty well. So it has been I've been going up this way as much as possible. It has been like evening out down towards the bottom as well, I feel, but I have used this a total of 9 times in the project, which I think it was only like 4 or 5 times this last month, which means that like this is expanding quickly. This one has been crumbling a lot, which on the one hand I don't love, but on the other hand I'm trying to use them up, so I don't care that much. And it is an old palette. It's one of those things where like on the one hand I hate wasting product, but on the other hand, eyeshadows are so difficult to use up as it is that when you're focusing on them, like you kind of want to just move through them. You want to see the progress. So it's a little bit, if you didn't lose some product, I feel like you would never finish a palette. because they just take forever. Yeah, I was happy with how I was using that. I was kind of foiling it with some setting spray as well and using it along with Cool Gray a couple of times. I thought that looked pretty nice. I'll continue to do that. Another thing that I was doing was I was actually putting some silver like in the center of my lid, and I thought that looked really nice on top of chrome. So I used silver 4 times this last month. I hope you can see, it's kind of hard to see with silver, but it was kind of a pinprick type of pan, and now it has expanded to a reasonable sized pan. So I'm really happy with the overall progress on this palette. I didn't use plum, navy, mocha, jade, or chrome this last month, which I'm all right with because they didn't really fit into the looks that I was creating. Hopefully I can touch those. Oh, I also didn't use black. I forgot to mention that, but I'm hoping to get to all those other shades eventually throughout the project. But right now I'm just gonna focus in on these more cool toned grays and maybe rosé if it fits in with my looks for next month. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Pro 2 palette. On to the Soft Glam palette. So I will put up a picture of what it looked like last month. And here's what it's looking like this month. I don't even know what to say entirely about this palette. So the shades in my quintet this last month were Rose Pink and Mulberry. So we're just gonna talk about those first, and then we'll get into the rest of the palette. So Rose Pink is the first shade. I did roll that in last month, and I thought I would hit pan on it relatively quickly just because it's a very, very crumbly shade. It had chunked off a bit and I had lost some product last year. So I was kind of anticipating that I would hit pan really quickly. Just it moves around in that pan so much. Part of me wants to try to finish it up just because it just falls everywhere and it's kind of a mess, but we're just gonna leave it for now. But I used this shade a total of 5 times and I hit pan on the 4th time, which is just weird to me. None of the other shimmer shades are like that one. This one's just super, super soft and crumbly. I don't really know why it's like that. I guess it's just something with the formulation in that one. But yeah, so I hit pan on the 4th use, used it one more time just to kind of expand that pan, and I was happy with it, and that worked. Then I kind of focused in on rosé from my Pro 2 palette, and that was nice because then I could kind of make some progress on that one while I hit my goal on this one. For Mulberry, I used this one 20 times and I hit pan on the 19th time. I did really enjoy using this shade. At first, I was a little bit like, how do I use this? What do I want to do with it? I ended up using it all over the lid most of the time, and then I would put rosé on top of it, and I really liked that. I thought it looked really, really good. It was a little bit smoky, but it wasn't too intense. With the rosé on top, it kind of reflected really nicely. So I was pretty happy with that. I used it on the lower lash line today, and yeah, I was happy with the progress I made. I mean, I hit my goal and it didn't take me a ridiculous amount of time to do it, but it also wasn't like 4 times. So yeah, some good progress on that. Both of those shades are rolling out, which is exciting, but we need to talk about the rest of the palette. So I did use Glistening, Sultry, and Bronze each one more time because I wanted to expand the pans on those a little bit, and I did, and I was happy with that. So those each I used a little bit more. And then I started using Tempera because I ran out of my matte shades in my matte cream shades in the Lorac palettes, and I always like to set my lid with a cream shade. I just feel like the other shades blend well. So I used that one a total of 16 times, but I hit pan on it on the 12th time. Then I just expanded the pan. I stopped using it because I wanted to leave it in here for when I come back to this palette to pan it eventually. I just like having, again, I like to have matte, like a cream setting shade to set the lid. So I wanted to leave that in here. And then the other big update is I hit pan in Dusty Rose. So that was not anticipated. I didn't really think that I was going to, but I decided that I wanted to use that along with Mulberry because I just thought they paired so well. I do have it in the crease today. I used this shade 12 times in this last month, and I hit pan on the 11th use. Now I will say I did use this last year in my Pan Those Eyeshadows. I got it rolled in and I used it 15 times. So that tells me it took me about 27 uses that I have tracked. But I probably only used it about 5 times prior to that. So that kind of gives me a decent gauge on how long it would take to hit pan on that one. So I would say, honestly, from my experience with this whole palette, the average shade should take around 30 to 40 uses total before you hit pan on it. Just that's kind of the trend with all of them. From what I've seen is at most I would expect 50 uses, but 30 to 40 is going to kind of be your average from start to pan. So that's kind of good to know. If you're working on this palette, I would just say, you know, you can kind of know it's going to take you around 40 uses, maybe a little bit more if they're coming from brand new. Of course, that is with my usage habits. And so if you're a little softer on them, you might not see as much progress, but that at least not that quickly. But if you, I wouldn't say I have a heavy hand, but I'm not super light-handed either. So if you're kind of like in the middle ground, I would guess around 40 to 50 uses from start to pan on this palette. So I hit 4 pans on this palette last month, which is just crazy. That was really fast. I didn't have a single pan when I was starting this project. So I've hit 11 pans in 4 months on this palette. I'm pretty amazed at it. I feel like I can get this finished up probably by the end of June. At that point, I have a couple of ideas of what I want to do, but I'm kind of still working it out for sure. So we'll just save that for another time. But yeah, I definitely think I can get it done by the end of June. We're gonna go ahead and just hop into the roll-in portion of this since we know we're just rolling in shades from this palette, and I'll discuss that with you in just 1 second. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I swatched chocolate from the Pro Matte palette and then cool gray and charcoal from the Pro 2 palette. And I'm gonna add my swatches for the Soft Glam palette here in a second. But I wanna talk to you guys about something. So I'm down to 3 shades in this palette: Fairy, Rustic, and Cypress Umber. However, I had a rule that I kind of gave myself where I would never roll 2 shades of the same basic color scheme in. So since I have chocolate in this quintet, I am not rolling Cypress Umber in. That's kind of been my rule. That way I'm not splitting usage. I can focus in on one and get through that one faster. So that means that there's really no point in randomizing this. Fairy and Rustic are the shades that are gonna get pulled for me. So there's no point in rolling for it since I would just negate Cypress Umber anyways if it got rolled in. So I'll go ahead and swatch this for you. Fairy and Rustic will be my new shades for this next month. And here is what this quintet will look like. It's a fairly cohesive palette, I feel. These are a little bit cool to be mixed with these two. Chocolate is kind of a nice brown because it's pretty neutral in its base, I feel, because it can go cool, but it can also go warm. So I think it'll pair nicely with Rustic and Fairy, but it also pair just as well with cool gray or charcoal, either one. So we'll go ahead and talk real quickly about the goals for each shade and the palettes this next month. We'll start with the Pro Matte palette. So because I've made such excellent progress in this palette, honestly, I'm not really concerned about corduroy, burgundy, or jet black right now. I really just want to focus in on chocolate. I want to see if I can get this I want to see if I can get this finished up this next month. I know that's a lot of product and it might be really difficult, but because it's on the crumblier side, I'm thinking that I can do that. I want to start using it more often on the lid and not just in the brows. I will continue to use it in the brows. Honestly, I'm getting a little tired of using it in my brows because I still have my brow pencil and I really liked using that and I want to return to using that. So I'd like to get chocolate finished. Also, I know that Cypress Umber is going to be waiting for me, so I would like to get this done so that I can give Cypress Umber some good attention next month. So my goal for this palette is just to have chocolate done. I don't really care what else happens in here. I just want to get chocolate finished. So that is my primary goal. I don't know if it's possible. I think there's a chance I can do it. I'm giving myself that little push of I want to have it done. I'd like to get it rolled out, get a new shade going in here, and just see this palette get moving. For the Pro 2 palette, I would like to say that I'll finish up Cool Gray this next month, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. I kind of hate that it's been in, this will be the 4th month that it's in, and I feel like I'm being kind of boring with it. I'm not making a ton of progress and it's the same shade and I'd like to roll it out. But at the same time, that's part of this project is I'm trying to finish these shades. I know this is going to take me a while, particularly the matte shades. So it is what it is. I'm working on Cool Gray. I think it'll probably, I don't think I can finish it this month. I think it'll probably be June before I'll be able to finish it up. But that is a goal for me. I do want to have this one empty by the end of June. I think what I would like to see is I'd like to see this half of the pan empty and then just have like this little corner over here left for me to work on in June. So I'm planning to do a lot of that gray based look this next month. One thing to note, I didn't say this earlier, but just as a reminder for you guys, I have been going, my months are based off of the last Saturday in the month. So some months I have 28 days to work on shades and some months I have 35 days to work on shades. January, I had 35. February, March, and April, I had 28. May, I will have 35 days to work on these shades. So I do have an extra week this next month to make some progress. So I'm really hoping to see some more in-depth progress with these shades. I don't know that I'll necessarily hit the goal of half of this used with that, but I do think it gives me a little bit of extra encouragement to go for it and just to see if I can empty out that half of the pan. As far as my goals for charcoal, I'm not positive. I don't really know. I think because I don't know how fast this one will move. I don't know if it'll be as slow as Cool Gray, but I also don't know if it'll be faster. Like light brown went relatively quickly for me. So I don't know if it'll move more quickly like that. But depending on its speed, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to hit side pan somewhere. I would say I'd like to clear out a corner. But again, I just don't know if that's possible. Ideally, I would get halfway through it. I don't think that's possible, but that would be like epic level goal. Mid-level goal would just be like clear out a corner, and then actual, like, I definitely know I can do this is like hit side pan. So I don't know whether I'll move to the side or if I'll just go down here, but yeah, I'd like to see some side pans somewhere, somehow. If I can clear out a corner, that'd be great. And it would be pretty incredible if I could empty half of it. But yeah, we'll see. That's kind of my primary goals for those. As far as the rest of the shades go, I want to continue to use Chrome and Silver in conjunction with those two shades. And then since I have like Fairy and Rustic, which are kind of on the brown side, I wouldn't mind to do some work on Mocha and Cocoa a little bit. I don't really want to give myself too big of a goal on those, but I think I'd like to reach into them each once or twice just to get a little bit more usage on them. I'll probably see how I like them paired with those two shades and what I feel like I can actually do with them. But those are just some like bonus goals for me, is just to like kind of get a little bit of work on those because I haven't dipped into cocoa at all, and I've only touched mocha 3 times since the start of this project. And you know, actually, I'd like to also use jade with fairy. I think they'll pair really nicely together. So I would like to use jade at least once as well. And then that way I will have used every shade down here at least one time in this project because neither of these, I've not touched either of them. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with those goals. I probably won't touch rosé this next month. I'll probably leave that one alone and just focus on these other shades in here as well as my quintet shades. Okay, and then finally with Soft Glam, I want a hit pan. I just want a hit pan on them, and I think I can. Now, something to note, I have used Fairy 7 times since the beginning of this project and Rustic 6 times since the beginning of this project. So pairing those numbers with the numbers from the rest of the palette, my estimate for uses on each shade is about 15 uses each. I think that if I hit 15 uses on each one, as far as like within this month, plus the previous usage, I will definitely have pan. So that should be pretty easy. Again, I have 35 days to use each of these shades next month, and I typically wear makeup every single day. It's just something that I love putting on my makeup. I think it's really fun and I really enjoy it. So I don't see any problem with hitting 15 uses on each of these and then making a lot of progress in my Lorac palettes as well. As far as any of the rest of this palette goes, I'm pretty happy with where the pans are at. If I feel like dipping into the other shades, I can and I will, but at this point, I don't really necessarily feel like I need to. Again, I'm happy with the size of all the pans. I might dip into bronze just one more time because I feel like it could be a little bit bigger, maybe same with glistening. But all in all, that's gonna just be kind of a, if I feel like it, like if I wanna add it into the look. Otherwise, I'm just gonna stick with Fairy and Rustic. I think I don't intend to dip into Cypress Umber at all. I've only used it once since the beginning of this project, but we'll get to that one next month. All right, so yeah, this is our quintet for next month. I am really happy with all the progress I've been making on this project, and I just have really been enjoying it. When I first started this, I kind of wanted to just keep it at a year plan and just see how I liked it for this year, see if I wanted to kind of continue it, or if I thought that I would want to return to like the Pan Those Eyeshadows original theme and like structure. But I am really liking seeing this kind of progress on my palettes. So as for the future, I kind of intend to keep this up. I have an ultimate goal of finishing all the eyeshadow palettes I currently own before buying a new one. I really don't like the idea of buying palettes and then decluttering them when I get tired of them. I would rather just use them up. It's kind of an ambitious thing to do because, like I was saying, you know, eyeshadow palettes have so much product in them, it's hard to move through them. So for me, something I'm kind of challenging myself to is finishing all of my current eyeshadow palettes before I'm allowed to buy any more. I don't want to declutter them if I don't have to. If they get to a point where they're just not performing well anymore, then I will. You know, if it's something like that, or if there's a shade here or there where I'm like, you know what, I just don't like this shade, I don't want to use it, I don't feel like it adds to my collection, I can declutter that shade. But all said and done, I really want to work through all my palettes, and I feel like this is a really fun and easy way for me to do that. So I currently am intending to keep this project going. Of course, we're just entering May, so I've only been doing it for 5 months. Well, this will be the 5th month now. And I do tend to get kind of bored, which is why I hadn't really been thinking that I would want to do this long term. But I think because you can make so much progress on a palette, it gets me really excited each month when I update it. And I really want to see the same kind of progress on my other palettes. So yeah, I let me know if you're enjoying this project as much as I am. I hope you are. Thank you so much for following along with it. Everybody has been so encouraging, and I'm still in shock that so many people are watching. Yeah, just to wrap up, thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey and for watching and sharing so much love with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the update and seeing all the crazy progress I'm making. I can't believe I hit 4 pans last month. It's just getting kind of it's getting kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I've just really been enjoying this project, and I hope you have too. Give this video a like if you do, and if you want to continue to see these videos, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.